welcome back to the podcast, Finally Game Music. This is episode 135 and on the thematic of a composer deep dive. And this week we're going to talk about Yutaka Minobe. It's gonna be super interesting, and I'm so sorry that we had to take 2 weeks off a little bit here, but I was coughing like crazy and I had to check myself, and yeah, I did have COVID. So it was a little bit harder for me to kind of sit down and record this and make a good podcast, especially with my energy being so freaking low trying to recover from COVID. But yeah, I'm back now, and today, as I said, we're going to do this little deep dive to see who the hell is Yutaka Minobe. It's gonna be super interesting. I was super eager to do the research for this guy, so I do hope you guys sure like this episode with the music that I chose and also the information that I dug up. So let's get to it. So who is this Yutaka Minobe? He is Japanese. He was born in the 7th of October 1972 in Yokohama. He was self-taught, playing the piano already at the age of 4. And by the age of 8, he started composing his original work. And during his career, he has both produced sound effects, arranged and composed music. And this also for both video games, but also anime. Then this week, we're going to go through a couple of his earlier works, all the way to the latest work he has done. And even though Minobe plays a lot of different instruments, the piano is still his main instrument of choice. During his younger years, he taught himself to compose and develop his talents throughout his years in junior school all the way up to high school. And after studying jazz piano performance at Surugadai University during the early 90s, Minobe struggled to make sufficient earnings as a jazz pianist after graduating. Minobe thought that the only way to get a stable employment was as a game composer and submitted a demo tape to the SEGA Corporation. Starting to work at SEGA during April 1997, he initially created sound effects for the very first 2 Saturn titles, Let's Make a Pro Soccer Club 2 and Sakura Taisen. Minobe did not create any music for any of these 2 titles though. And during this time, Minobe did, however, explore the process of fitting audio to scenes, all while gaining this technical expertise. And gradually he became a more integral member of the team, and his first compositional debut were for Atsumare Guru Guru Onsen. I don't know the English title for that one, but it seems to be some sort of tabletop type of game, so it kind of looks interesting, but not that super interesting to me at least. And he was also offered to do some sound design and piano performances for the game Sonic Adventures, which is also usually his first credited work, and this game was released back in 1998 for the Dreamcast, and later also got ported to both PS3 and Xbox 360. So it took about 3 years for Minobe to become a widely recognized, but also served as a lead composer for his first big work on the game Skies of Arcadia. And we were going to stop here with the first song, but this is also a requested song, so I'm going to read the comment sent in by Karuchi. And since the next episode is going to be on Yutaka Minobe, I will have to request a track from Skies of Arcadia, because of course I have to. I want the track Legendary Sinking Continent, and don't you dare to cut out before the 55-second mark here. That's where the feel really hits hard, and you can't miss it. It's a crybaby, bittersweet, and nostalgic theme that plays in the ending scene. If you feel a track from the end game is a little bit too spoilerific, I can accept the track Uninhabited Island as well. That one is a calm piece that I just found myself standing around in that part of the game way longer than I would have to. I even have the old save file ready to load up at any time. And it just shows a little hair there. Also, though I have the biggest hate boner for Knight's Journey into Dreams, Minobe's contribution to its soundtrack are absolutely fantastic. And I hope someone requests that title song from Journey of Dreams. Sadly, no. But here comes Skies of Arcadia legendary sinking continent. And there we fade out the epic tones for legendary sinking continent requested by Karuchi from the game Skies of Arcadia. I hope you liked it. I really find this one really epic, to be honest. So I really do hope you enjoyed me not cutting it out before 55 seconds. So yeah, so we had a little bit longer. The track itself is not that long either, so I was like, are we going to listen to the whole song or no? I cut it a little bit shorter, but we have like 15 more seconds of music in the background before we're restarting the tune. But yeah, we've talked about this game multiple times in the last 3 episodes here, so I won't go into any more details on this game, but I'll remind everybody that the game was released on the 5th of October 2000 in Japan and the 13th of November in the US. And the year after, back in 2001, the 27th of April, it also released in Europe. And this game was released first on the Dreamcast exclusively, but was also later also released for the GameCube in another version where they just added the legend to it. So it kind of feels like a remake. I'm not entirely sure if it actually is a remake. I'm pretty sure both Luis and Karuchi knows this one because you guys have frenetically wanted to listen to music from Skies of Arcadia. I think we haven't even touched the depth of all the music that exists in Skies of Arcadia, and I highly recommend everybody to actually go into Spotify and listen to the soundtrack. It is available there, and I highly recommend it. It's super magical when it comes to it. I'm actually eager to actually test this game someday, hopefully soon. We don't know. I don't own the game myself, so it's hard. It's hard. But when it comes to the soundtrack here, Minobe worked together with Tatsuyuki Maeda, with the direction from Tatsuya Kozaki. And all the music here was performed by the Skies of Arcadia Symphony Orchestra. And during the work for this game, Minobe tried to incorporate the world colors to reflect the character's journey. Minobe often discussed with the game's planners to ensure that the music transitioned naturally between the scenes. For character themes, Minobe initially improvised on his MIDI keyboard, in recording mode to say the least, and to find a memorable melody, and then take it to the next level as the idea into a fully fledged composition. And basically that means he firstly recorded it on his MIDI keyboard, as said. He tried to figure out something that feels memorable by listening back to the music that he played. And also, it was more initially just improvised. And after finding good ones, he fully fledged it out for the compositions and for the orchestra. And after Skies of Arcadia, Minobe had a recurring role as the sound creator in multiple Sonic games, where the first one is being Sonic Advance. So we're going to listen to another type of version of the Green Hill Zone, because we're listening to the Neo Green Hill Zone, Act 1 from Sonic Advance. Sonic Advance and the song Neo Green Hill Zone, Act 1. I'm pretty sure nobody has really listened to this one unless you play the game, because it doesn't really... I wouldn't say it kind of gets stuck to your mind. It's still kind of... It feels tropical, I would say. But I really like it somehow, and it doesn't feel like the Green Hill Zone in any way. So I'm actually really confused by my feelings listening to this song. But I really do like it in the end, so to kind of sum it up at least. So the Sonic game, it was released for the Game Boy Advance, and first in Japan the 20th of December 2001, and the game the year after it released in the rest of the world. The game was also later then ported to handheld devices like Android, BlackBerry and N-Gage, but the game was also released for the Wii U through the eShop. And this Sonic game were actually developed by two Japanese companies, the Dimps Corporation and the Sonic Team, which we all maybe hate and love, I don't know. I guess Sonic always brings out the mixed feelings in everybody. You kind of either love Sonic or you hate him. And I'm not sure where I actually love Sonic, but I don't love him because of the games. I actually love Sonic because of the series he's been in. All the self-named series and movies, to be honest. But when it comes to these games, at least, and we're heading back now to Minobe here, because we're not going to talk about the animes here. There were actually multiple Sonic games in these upcoming years that followed up for the Sonic Advance. So it started with this game, and then continued with Sonic Advance 2 in 2002. And in 2003, we have Sonic Pinball Party. We actually started out with one of those songs from that game in the background. So if you want to listen to that one, you can just head back and just listen to it. But anywho, during these years of 2002, Minobe worked on multiple games from interesting series. We have Shinobi, the Phantasy Star Online, Episode 1 and 2, and Panzer Dragoon Orta. We also have Ghost Vibration, which kind of sounds weird, like a weird game in my opinion, but, well, he was working on that one as well during 2002. But in 2003 we'll get more Sonic games. The remake of Skies of Arcadia called Legend as well, so it's Skies of Arcadia Legends. During these years at SEGA, Minobe was actually given the opportunity to compose music for animes after Wavemaster were contacted by external contractors. Wavemaster is actually the audio development team for SEGA, which I actually didn't know myself until I actually researched this. But also Wavemaster was formerly known as SEGA Digital Media. So during this time period, Minobe was working with both video game music and anime scores. So our next stop here is in 2004, where Minobe both worked on the score for this movie of Astro Boy and the game. So we're going to listen to Astro Boy Metro City Day. There we have it, Astro Boy, Metro City, and this is the daytime version. There's also a nighttime version as well, if you guys are interested. They're kind of alike, but still different. So when it came to the game Astro Boy, it was actually created by the Sonic team as well, and were released in Japan and in the US in 2004. So Japan had the March release, while the US had the August release, and then it also released in Europe in 2005. So there's not much more to add on Astro Boy here, more than Minobe actually worked on the anime scores and also the game scores here, which was interesting enough, but I already said that before we played the song. But during 2004, Minobe got his first compositional debut, because he was only arranging and making like smaller sound effects on a main Sonic game. That one being the Sonic Heroes game, where he contributed with a few event compositions and arrangements. Due to Minobe getting more mature and his dramatic approach to music and how he took on these projects, that made the sign director entrust more projects to him. So from Astro Boy, we're going to jump a couple of years here, and during these years, Minobe actually leaves SEGA to found the independent studio Delphi Sound, which was also set up by the Wavemaster's former head Yukifumi Makino in 2005. The upcoming projects were Rule of Rose and Odama back in 2006, Nights, Journey into Dreams, and Innocent Life, a futuristic Harvest Moon in 2007. And despite leaving SEGA, Minobe continued to have a close relationship together with them, due to the fact that he was giving more work in the games such as Sonic Unleashed in 2008, Sonic and the Black Knight in 2009, and yet another game we talked about before, when we talked about Yoko Shimomura, Little King's Story. And the year after here, 2010, we are finally landing on our next stop. But before we land in the game we're going to listen to here, Minobe works on the music for Sonic Colors. He does pianist work for Nier, and then finally the music for the Wii game Fling Smash. So we're going to listen to the really kind of dark, but I really did enjoy this one, but the song Thundercloud Fortress. I don't know about you guys, but it kind of gave me the darker tone to it, especially when we compare the other songs that we've been listening to that Minobe has worked on. But I really did enjoy this one. When I was listening through the soundtrack to Fling Smash, because I do know this is a Wii game, I was just excited to just listen through it. It was super amazing, and I really did enjoy this one. But this game, it was developed by the Japanese company Artoon, and the game, it was released on the 7th of November 2010, and this was released worldwide. And this game, well, it was most likely purchased by people who just wanted an extra Wii remote, as this game cost about the same as much as a controller itself. And the intention of this game was to actually show off the new Wii remote that featured the Wii Motion Plus technology. So that was just super interesting. I've never played this Fling Smash myself, however, because I instead bought the Wii Play version, where you also get, and then you had like a game room where you also could get an extra controller. So there were a couple of these bundled versions where you can get these extra controllers. But with Fling Smash, you actually get this Wiimote that had this Wii Motion Plus technology in it. So just to kind of point that out, the other ones were just normal controllers. But yeah, I really did enjoy this song. It was interesting, kind of had this industrial kind of feel to it, in my opinion. It has way more speed than more the tropical ones we've been listening to. So I really find a contrast to this one that I really, really did enjoy and liked from Minobe. But even after leaving Sega's original sound team, Minobe also continued his work with anime scores. He created popular original scores to manga adaptations such as Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters DX and Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D. And between his roles on the Yu-Gi-Oh! And Sonic series here, he actually captured a whole lot of other music as well. So in the following years, he worked on both Sonic Generations as an arranging and remix composer, but also worked for Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games, where he were one of the composers. In 2012, Minobe only worked on one game, and on this title, he only worked as the arranger, making sure the track sounds as intended with its orchestral setup. So we're going to listen to Rhythm Thief and The Emperor's Treasure. I know we'll listen to this soundtrack before, and I really do enjoy this soundtrack as well, but this time we're going to listen to Day in Paris version 2. I don't know with you guys, but I really feel like this is just like pause music going on. It feels launchy, it feels like something you can listen to while going in an elevator. But this was the Day in Paris version 2 from the game Rhythm Thief and Emperor's Treasure, and I really do enjoy this game so freaking much. I haven't actually completed this one yet, and every time I listen and come back to this game, I always get interested in picking up my 3DS and start playing this game again. I played the demo like crazy, and then I don't remember if it was free at some point or if I actually bought the game. I don't remember exactly, but I did download it for my 3DS. I did play it a couple of times. I really did enjoy, but I kind of had a much going on at that point in my life, so I kind of tended to forget it. And every time I'm going back to the soundtrack, I'm always getting the urge to start playing it again. I really do enjoy this game. It's fun, it's humorous, and I really do enjoy the music for this one. I really do. But this game, it was created by the Japanese SEGA Corporation and together with the Japanese company Zine. Rhythm Thief was released worldwide in 2012, January for Japan and July for the rest of the world. The game was also exclusively released for the Nintendo 3DS. From here, we're getting closer to the end of Minobe's credit list. The following years until today, Minobe primarily worked on more Sonic games, spin-offs, and the main series. In 2013, we get arranged music for the Sonic Lost Worlds game. We get original compositions for another Mario and Sonic game, this time at the Olympic Winter Games in Sochi 2014. In 2016, we get Mario and Sonic at Rio 2016's Olympic Games, following up with Sonic Forces and Story of Seasons, Trio of Towns in 2017. And then we arrive at the last game on his list, and I was actually interested in having this one last because it does have something special extra that we'll take after the song. But this is the last game on his list, and this is our last song, Pit Stop. So we're going to listen to, and this is a long title, my friends, the Space Channel 5 VR Kinda Funky Newsflash, Dance in the Galaxy version Morolians. So this was a little bit of a shorter song. It's for this VR game that just looks crazy, in my opinion. So yeah, and I really do enjoy this song as well. So this title actually has a Japanese title, but translating it becomes Dance in the Galaxy. And these Morolians are basically the small aliens that are singing in this track as well. And I do believe they actually are singing Morolians there at the kind of refrain. So this game was created by the relative new Japanese company called Grounding Incorporation, who also, and this I find very interesting, was also the publishers of a couple of board games, Machikoro for example. So the Space Channel 5 was actually released the 25th of February last year, so it's kind of a new game as well. And as the title might hint at, it was released for VR items such as the Oculus Quest, the PSVR, and for PC. So in PC you have the Oculus Quest, Oculus Rift, and you also have the HTC Vive. So this game is actually based on Sega's legendary Dreamcast rhythm game just called Space Channel 5. I don't know much about it myself per se. I've only, when I did the research, actually went back and just looked at it. So it's a rhythm dancing game kind of ish. I have no idea how it actually is played with controllers and such, and I'm a little bit unsure how it actually is played with the VR headset on as well. But I guess you're basically swinging your arms around trying to make the dances they are doing. And in this specific version or song, you're actually having like a dance-off with these aliens, and it just looks super silly and hilarious. But there was actually a game that I skipped earlier in Minobe's career here, and the one that I did not name was Space Channel. And before going through his demography here of games and their music, it was actually back in 2002 where he actually worked on Space Channel 5 Part 2, a game that was released for the Dreamcast, PS2, and later also got ported to the PC and Xbox 360, and also sold on PSN on the PS3. Looking at Minobe now, we're trying to kind of drag everything up and just collect everything. He doesn't have any public accounts on social media and such, so it's kind of hard to see what he's still working on. But since we did get this game and a game in 2020, I can only assume that he is still active with both music for anime and video games. And it's so much fun to see that he had his roots so kind of deep into Sega, even though he kind of left after around 8 years. So it's super interesting to see the kind of close co-working solution together with another company. I always love to see these kind of things happen, and they do tend to happen more and more now that more composers are more like freelance than in-house, even though in-house are quite big. And just looking at how many people are working on music and sound effects and everything through Wavemaster, I would say they have about like 20 to 30 people that works just on sounds at Sega. And that's just amazing and crazy at the same time. But I really do liked this information. But yeah, that is the life of Minobe and all the different games that he worked on. I really hope you liked some of the music, or hopefully all of the music that I chose for this episode. And I hope you liked the information about Minobe as much as I did. It was fun to research, and it's really fun to just have this podcast to talk to you guys of the music and of the composers behind it. But yeah, that is it for this week and this episode. It is a little bit longer than it was initially going to be, but that's because it took 2 weeks, so I had a little extra time to do more research. But since Minobe is a little bit more private with everything, I didn't find a lot of interviews and such for the specific games I was going to talk about, but I did, for example, find interviews for Little King's Story. Those ones I can actually add into the links and everything, so you guys can actually read that interview if you want to do that, because we didn't talk about Little King's Story, as he was mainly working as an arranger for that music and that soundtrack. But yeah, Minobe had an super interesting kind of a route to go through, going with being self-taught but heading into this kind of business, working on video game music, but mainly and primarily I would say have worked on more arrangements and remixes rather than making original compositions. So it was also super interesting just going through all the different soundtracks to find which type of songs have he worked on, and together with whom sometimes as well. So I tried to pick most of these songs where he actually worked on the compositions himself rather than arrangements. But as I told for the Rhythm Thief, it was an arrangement as well. But I just want to show you guys the difference and the why with that Minobe had or has. But yeah, that is it for this week's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it, so to speak. So other episodes of Finally Game Music, you can find those on our homepage videospelsklubben.se, Spotify, or in your closest podcast app. Feel free to follow and give any comments on our social media, so either Facebook or Instagram. Just search for Finally Game Music. I've changed so it's easier for you international listeners to find it. And on Spotify, I've changed all the names, so we have Finally Game Music for all the English episodes, and I'm going to continue with this for all eternity now. But yeah, if you would like to hear your name within one of these episodes, you can either request a song for an upcoming episode by commenting on any of our social media pages or through our Discord. And the Discord is the Videospelsklubben's own Discord server. It's mainly Swedish there, but we still do have Finally Game Music section there where we can share music and discuss music and have just a great time. For example, Bedroth, you're amazing coming in with certain interviews and stuff like that. I really do enjoy that. So for more people who just want to join in on the Discord and just discuss music and everything, feel free to just contact me anywhere, because I always love to kind of hear new music that I usually don't listen to myself, for example, because you guys are amazing. You really are. But you can also support this podcast for future content and quality updates as well, because sometimes I need to get like new microphones and new headphones and stuff like that, and there's so much more I want to bring to this podcast as well. And in the end, when I'm not needing anything else, we're going to support future composers that haven't really breaked into the scene yet. And you can do that by supporting us by becoming a Patreon. And our current awesome Patreon backers that we have today is Mikael Sjöberg, Andreas Nilsson, and Daniel Onemark. Thank you so much for being part of this journey with me by supporting this podcast. So links where you can either buy or support Minobe here with his music and everything. I will try to find as many posts as possible, and I will just put all the links in our main post on videospelsklubben.se. So next week we're going to talk about one game, and this is a game that actually got requested by an old colleague of mine, and we're going deep diving within the game called Young Merlin. I have not played this game before. I know it is for the Super Nintendo, so I'm actually gonna pick it up during this week. And if you guys have any comments on the game, if you have any all the memories that you want to talk about, feel free to comment it and I will take it up in the episode as well. It's gonna be super amazing to hear about this, because I heard good about both the game but also the soundtrack, and I have no clue what to expect with this game. It looks like some sort of adventure puzzle type of game, so yeah, that's basically. I don't know much about this game at all, so it's gonna be exciting getting into it. I'm a little bit unsure if I have it physically or if I need to download a ROM or something to play this game, but I'm pretty sure I might have the game, so no worries there. No ROMs needed to be downloaded so I can play it. But yeah, either way, I will get this one, and I will stop talking now. Have a great weekend, everybody, and do take care. We're back on track now with the podcast. So thank you so much for staying put, and thank you so much for the best regards and everything. Getting better. Now I'm better, and hopefully we can make amazing content together. Have a great weekend, everybody, and see you guys next time.